Let's get a check now of the top business news stories. Our business editor, Kate Moody's here. Hi there, Kate.
Hi, Tom.
The US government trying to tackle inflation, in particular the soaring cost of energy. Tell us more.
Yeah, the US President Joe Biden has asked Congress to approve a 3-month suspension of federal taxes on gasoline. If approved, that tax break could cost the government around $10 billion, money that usually goes towards a program for highway upkeep. The national average for a gallon of petrol is currently around $5, compared to just over $3 a year ago. Well, the federal government collects 18.4 cents per gallon of gasoline that's sold, 24 cents per gallon of diesel. That threshold hasn't changed since 1993. In addition, each state imposes a different tax as well. At the start of the year, it was an average 26 cents. Some states have already suspended the tax in recent months, and President Biden did urge more states to follow suit. Together, those taxes represent around 16% of the total paid at the pump. The rest of the price is linked to the price of crude oil and refining. In France, just for comparison, taxes make up to 50 to 60% of the price of petrol. Many economists say this so-called gas tax holiday will offer only limited relief for American drivers, but Biden said it could provide some much-needed breathing room.
Now, I fully understand that a gas tax holiday alone is not going to fix the problem, but it will provide families some immediate relief, just a little bit of breathing room as we continue working to bring down prices for the long haul.
Inflation in the United States currently stands at 8.6%. Well, in the UK, inflation has hit a fresh 40-year high in May, fueled by food and energy costs. Consumer prices were 9.1% higher than they were a year earlier. That's up from 9% in April. It is the highest level in the G7. The British government is introducing more aid for vulnerable households and pensioners, measures worth around £15 billion, 17 billion euros or so. The cost of living crisis has been highlighted by this week's rail strikes, with British workers calling for sharp pay rises to reflect that spike in inflation. Some $2 trillion has been wiped off the market value of cryptocurrencies in recent months. Bitcoin, for example, hit a record high of $68,000 in November of last year. It has since tanked to around $20,000. Other tokens, like Ethereum, have seen similar falls. Well, for some context, let's cross over to San Francisco and speak to Haider Rafique, Chief Marketing Officer at the OKX Crypto Exchange. Thanks for joining us on France 24 this evening. Help us understand what's happening here and why. Why is all this going on the crypto markets?
Thank you, Kate. So since the beginning of 2020, we have all seen a meteoric rise in Bitcoin's price. We've also seen the same thing happen to crypto markets in general. Now, in my view, a correction was inevitable. Perhaps the correction we're seeing in the market at this stage is somewhat correlated to the looming recession and inflation. We also see system failures in our industry, recent system failures, which have led to a lot of liquidation. Therefore, prices, I believe, took a deeper dive in the past few weeks. But I really believe this is a temporary stage, at least for Bitcoin.
So you're referring to this as a correction rather than a crash, but we are talking about huge sums of money being lost. Isn't this undermining what we have to say is already shaky consumer confidence in the whole idea of cryptocurrencies?
So I believe losses happen when you close a position. I think my advice to most of our community or investors is, as long as you're not closing a position, you have not really realized a loss. But the confidence is somewhat shaky given the conditions of the market. The comparison we try and communicate to our investors and community is that of just look at the equities market. All markets are going through volatility given recession and inflation. And it's not just crypto markets that are shaky. All markets at this point are shaky.
Some investors have lost huge amounts of money in recent months. Do you think this recent volatility could add to momentum to calls for more regulation of the crypto industry?
It's very possible, Kate. Look, we all call for common sense regulation, ones that don't limit or block innovation, while at the same time, we're creating more rails to protect customers. I believe when it comes to protection, a centralized exchange like ourselves or others can play a really big role in protection of customers. Ultimately, that type of behavior and intention will help regulators welcome innovation more openly.
Now, crypto companies have announced nearly 2,000 job cuts in just the last month or so. Coinbase, for example, laying off 18% of its workforce. Is OKX considering any layoffs? How are you faring during this correction, as you call it?
So real lives and families are being impacted by this. So naturally, we take it very seriously. The first thing we try and do is help where we can. We don't envy the position some of the other firms are in. And what we are essentially is a very conservative organization. So when we look at our growth over the last perhaps 2 years, we might be criticized with not growing aggressively enough compared to the market. But that's just us. As a result of that, we didn't really invest really heavily in staff or our marketing. We started to do that at the beginning of this year, and we're pacing very carefully. Therefore, what is happening right now is business as usual for us. We're not slowing our growth down. We're not stopping our hiring. We will help the industry where we can. If we can replace some of the roles, people who've lost real jobs, we're hoping that we can help them and recruit them in this time of what we call building mode for the industry.
And for those who are still new to the concept or a little bit unsure about it all, I want to ask, do you consider cryptocurrencies to be a form of payment or an investment?
I believe it's a bit of both. I don't think that the industry has matured to a place where it can truly be used for payment yet. I think we're on the trajectory to go there. Look, the foundations of crypto make it easy for an asset to settle faster and much cheaply in a decentralized way. So eventually, in 5 to 10 years down the road, I do believe there will be a strong utility, serving a utility to be a peer-to-peer or a payments platform. But we're not there yet. I think right now, the way we should all look at crypto is there are early use cases being built. These create some early investment opportunities for people. We guide everyone to be very careful, have a long-term thesis on any investment, and manage their risk accordingly. But I hope that in the coming years, we will see a bit of both. We will see crypto markets serve as an investment vehicle while also fulfilling the utility piece.
Haider Rafique from OKX. Thank you so much for joining us on France 24 this evening to shed a little bit of light onto the cryptocurrency markets. Tom, that's all the business news for now. I'll be back in the next hour with the closing word.